You're welcome back. This is the pulse here on Joy News. So far, let me read through some of the comments on the first subjects that we dealt with, the CCTV footage that we brought to you. And Mercy says, so because of petition to remove a certain CJ, people should no longer speak to each other. Like seriously, Joy News, you're up to something, pal. We were only broadcasting facts. And then Papi says, if it is true, then the lawyers, I don't know how to describe them. You met at a public place. He says there should be a timestamp on it and date, and it is clearly stated on the footage that we brought to you. And the new query is asking whether Puaman JSC is in the footage. From what we have, he is nowhere near the footage. And so many comments on this particular matter here on Joy News. Your comments, again, are welcome, and I'll share with the rest of the world. Now, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology Technical University campuses remain quiet as the industrial action of senior staff unions entered day 2 with the offices locked and administrative duties abandoned. The strike is affecting critical roles such as laboratory caretakers, security, hospital workers, and administrative personnel, now forcing other university offices to rely on these services to suspend their operation. Now, this disruption has created a multifaceted crisis, entangling even non-teaching university members.
The offices are open, but you don't see the workers there. Most of them didn't go to work, so you wouldn't get the services that you need. There are some linkages between the offices. If you need something from this office, you'd have to go through the various processes. So if the offices are not working, it means that you wouldn't get to get to what you actually want to do. I think there will be delay in whatever service you would need the officers to do for you. So we are just hoping that they get back so that things can actually go back to how it used to be, because yesterday and today has not been the same. The place is quieter than yesterday.
So we just, now GTech, the university teachers, as you know, embarked on this strike yesterday over unfulfilled commitment they entered into with the previous government and, of course, this new administration. In fact, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission has, however, described the strike by the university teachers as illegal and in bad faith. Now, in the statement, GTech raises concerns over the inability of the union to show up at a planned meeting on May 21st. Now, what we are picking this afternoon is that the strike has been suspended. That is the new information coming in on this matter. Let me bring you that statement. And it says, on behalf of our sister unions, this is coming from the Senior Staff Association, on behalf of our sister unions, that's TUAC and FUSAC, and on my own behalf as National Chair of our Senior Staff, University of Ghana, we are pleased to inform you that following our collective action and strong advocacy, the government has responded positively to our demands. The Ministry of Finance has finally released the long-awaited letter authorizing the implementation of the negotiated agreement effective November 1, 2024. The Ghana Tertiary Education Commission has also written authorizing the universities to effect payments immediately. Based on this government goodwill to swiftly act on our concerns, we announced that all our members are to resume work on Friday, 23rd May 2025. And this is signed by George Anson, National Chair of the Senior Staff Association of Ghana. Let me bring in Professor Jinapop from GTech. Prof, a good time to have you here on the pulse. Good afternoon, sir.
Your viewers and listeners.
So, what stalled the process to the extent that the university staff had to embark on a strike before something happened?
Well, I think, first of all, I must say that it is refreshing that the strike has been called off and all members have been asked to report to work tomorrow. If you look at the footage that you showed at Kumasi Technical University, there's a semblance of academic work being stalled, informed by the strike. For us as a commission, and speaking on behalf of the minister, I must say that the minister, since assumption of office, has demonstrated commitment in making sure that the conditions of service of the various affected unions are implemented. And not just too long ago, just the month of April, he met them, and in fact, GTech had invited them for a meeting tomorrow for us to finalize the implementation of their condition of service. That said, That's it. The directive from the Ministry of Finance, as indicated in the letter that they provided as controller to implement SIM, GTech has also written to all the investees to make sure that the new conditions of service are effected. But moving forward, the caution that we want to bring to the attention of all the unions, not just the Senior Staff Association, but all unions within the tertiary educational space, that they should always exercise restraint in their dealings with the regulatory agency and by extension the ministry. At the end of the day, you may have a very good cause, but the manner in which you approach it may more or less create some kind of unforeseen circumstances that will affect the industrial harmony that we always want to protect.
You think they acted in bad faith? Right, we've lost Professor Jinapor. We'll bring him back on because there are a few issues that we want to trust with him. But let me also bring in Dr. Clement Apak, is a Deputy Education Minister. Doc, you're welcome to the program. Well, let's see if we can get Dr. Apak to also speak to us on this matter. Dr. Clement Apak, if you can hear me, good afternoon. Right, so Dr. Clement Apak, good afternoon.
Hello?
Yes, Dr. Apak, good afternoon, welcome to the program.
Yes, good afternoon to you and good afternoon to viewers and listeners.
So the striking university staff say that they are calling it off and resuming work tomorrow, May 23rd, 2025, based on what they've come to understand of Ministry of Finance, commitment to this matter. But they say that they are doing so based on government goodwill shown so far. Can we hold the ministry and the finance minister to this word that it will not only be worse, but action will follow?
Well, I wish you would have chosen a different way of inquiring from us how committed we are to ensuring that teaching and learning at every level of our educational structure goes on unencumbered. As you may know, it was only yesterday that these university unions declared an indefinite nationwide strike. The Honorable Minister for Education,
right,
as expected, intervened swiftly in collaboration with his colleague at the Ministry of Finance. And it is on the basis of that swift intervention that the unions have chosen to call off the strike. I can assure the good people of Ghana that the John Dramani Mahama government remains committed to addressing the challenges facing Ghanaians. Keep in mind that this is an inherited challenge. But even so, in just 24 hours, government has moved swiftly to address this matter. So yes, we believe that we will be able to meet our obligations to the people of Ghana, including obligations that we inherited from the previous government.
Professor Jinapor I was speaking to before you came on makes the point that, for him, the strike was actually uncalled for because steps were already underway to resolve the matter. And so embarking on the strike when they were aware of steps that had been taken was, some kind of acting in bad faith.
Well, I am not in a position to accuse or blame the unions. If we have any place to place blame, we ought to be blaming the previous government because this is an agreement that should have been implemented on the 1st of November, 2024.
Right.
So they certainly had reason to worry. But what is important is that we have found a swift resolution to what would have been an otherwise worrisome situation because it would have impacted teaching and learning in our institutions of higher learning. So let's look at the positive side and put in place strategies to ensure that it doesn't reoccur.
All right. And so, I mean, tomorrow they will come. You expect a very conducive environment at the various universities for work and for administrative and academic work to go on smoothly without any hindrance.
Yes, we want to believe that, as they indicated in their statement, and as has been conveyed to you, they would also do the needful, because it is for our collective benefit that teaching and learning continues smoothly without any encumbrances.
All right. Dr. Park, thank you so much. But Professor Jinapor, how do we resolve some of these things from happening? I mean, we cannot completely deal with the matter of strike because government finances cannot meet the demands of everybody. But how do we ensure that at least we reduce it to the barest minimum?
Well, I think, first of all, the most important ingredient that needs to be factored in all this is that dialogue should be the avenue in resolving most of these issues. As you heard the Honorable Minister speak to the fact that even though this was an inherited issue, the government has shown demonstrable evidence of commitment in fulfilling it. And if you look at the statement that I issued, it gives you a chronology of activities that are taking place, federals to more or less getting this done. And in fact, just last week, there was a meeting and engagement with the unions relative to this particular subject. So, yes, government may not have the money, but in this particular instance, we are talking of condition of service. We are not talking of money being dished out. The condition of service basically looks at so many things that more or less enhances the work of this group of people. So it is not as if it is money that needs to be given out today or tomorrow. Of course, it comes with some monetary aspect, but the commitment on the part of government, shown by evidence, I believe was enough. And in every society, we work within the rule of law. As I indicated, National Labour Commission had invited Senior Staff Association and all the other groupings for a meeting on the 21st. That was when they declared the strike. That notwithstanding, this is where we are now. And let's look at how we can put this behind us. Let's look at how the staff can go back to work tomorrow. There's some work that needed to have been done yesterday and today. Let's see how to get the university running. And let us not disrupt the academic calendar. It is too early for us to be engaging on strikes on the wheels of things that are solvable. But as the chairman indicated in his statement, I think the Honorable Minister for Education has been extremely instrumental in getting this issue resolved. And if there's any commendation, it needs to go to him and his colleague, the Finance Minister, for getting this behind us.
Prof. Jinapor, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Of course, Prof. Jinapor is head of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. And of course, remember the pulse is always brought to you by Defendril Cough Expectorant. It clears chest congestion, smoothens cough, and fights the common cold, helping you breathe easy and feel better. Defendril is available at all pharmacies and OTCs across Ghana. Not recommended for children under 6 years. For bulk purchase, visit Rapid Improvement Pharmaceuticals, Spinters Road, next to Royal House Chapel, or contact them on 053-666-1432. That's 053-666-1432. Defendril, breathe easy, feel better. Now we will talk about sanitation after this break.
Skin bleaching among children, a disturbing trend festering in Ghana.
Like kalani efe omu ya tuntumi saa enya mefe.
A fashion craze now falls on newly born babies and children as young as 3 years.
I've had mothers who've had concerns about the color of or the complexion of their newborn babies, and some think there will be suspicion of infidelity. Others want some designer babies that have a particular color and therefore want to do anything to get the baby to get fairer.
Banned skin lightening creams containing toxic ingredients are being applied to tone children's skin and make them socially acceptable.
When they are like 3 years, 4 years going, that's when the parents, those who don't have knowledge about, that's where they start bleaching them.
And of course, we are back here on the pulse. The Accra Metropolitan Assembly has deployed 3 permanent national security operatives to the Circle New Plant Station area to ensure no return of squatters. Now, this follows the encroachment of that place less than 24 hours after the massive clampdown on Wednesday. Now, James Abeje has been following this story for 3 days, and he's just returned from the ground again. So, James, what happened today? The understanding we got from Monday was that, everything was going to end.
Yeah. Today. Yeah.
So that means the entire exercise has come to an end.
Fortunately and unfortunately, we are still continuing tomorrow because yesterday was Wednesday. Tuesday, when we completed the exercise in the afternoon after the first break, we were told that it's 3 days. But when we finished the whole exercise, after the whole exercise and the briefing, we were told that it's going to be 5 days. And so we knew that it's going to continue. And then today we had the confirmation that they will be continuing tomorrow as well. That 5 days should have been up to Saturday. But we'll know whether it will happen on Saturday as well by close of day tomorrow.
And then this morning we are told that, they are now bringing national security operative to ensure that those they remove at Circle do not go back.
Exactly. So this morning we got to the AMA at about 7:30, and then we had the information that so now they split the team. A different team moves into a different direction, and then another team moves into a different direction. So for today, the team that we followed was the one that undertook the decongestion at the bus stop yesterday. And so I called and we had the information that they were at Circle. And so we got there. At the time, as at 8 a.m., they were still waiting for other members of the team to come around before they finally deployed. I thought that we could just go and check up on the place that the exercise happened yesterday to know what the situation was. And I was shocked when I got there to see that the people have come back. I was shocked, but not surprised. Shocked because, as at yesterday, we were told that they were going to deploy some AMA security guards to make sure that they do not come back, because while the decongestion was ongoing, they were picking their things from mattresses to fridges to boxes. You know, those who ply their trades by the roadside, they have these special boxes, they pack the things in. At night, they moved all of those to the median of the road, which is right under the overpass.
Right.
And so I was not surprised because I knew that since they do not have any alternative at the time, some will still dare to bring it back or stay in the median of the road. And so when we came back and I saw that, I had to file that this is the situation, the people are back and all of that. And then in about 15 minutes, the team now came in to do the re-decongestion, I'll call it, where they confiscated the items, those that they cannot carry along, they broke them and all of that. And then we had the information that they will now permanently station 3 national security persons there in order to make sure that they do not come back to reoccupy the place. I've put all of this together, including how we terminated the exercise at Kaneshi today in the following report. Of makeshift structures where are being pulled down by the AMA task force in conjunction with the Ghana Police Service as well as the National Security. That spot is where I am standing currently. We are back here to check the state of affairs 24 hours after that decongestion exercise has happened here. Now, let me take you to the median of the road right under the overpass where a number of the people sent their wares, including fridges, mattresses, and other items they trade in. That is where they sent it to this yesterday when the decongestion exercise was happening. But if you see there in your shot, just a couple of those boxes in which they keep their items are currently on the median there. Yesterday, the whole place was crowded with those boxes of their belongings. Now, if you pan to my right, I can tell you that some of these people have brought back their items to where they have been evicted yesterday. You see a number of the boxes have returned to the place and a couple of them are sitting. I had attempted to find out from them why they have brought the things back, but they would not mind to talk to me, expressing their anger at what happened yesterday. And so from what we are seeing this morning, 24 hours down the lane, the squatters are gradually moving back to the bus stop where the decongestion exercise had happened yesterday. The conversation amongst them is that they currently do not have a place they will be moving to permanently. And so they are still hanging around, hoping to settle in fully. I don't know how the AMA task force would prevent this from happening, but when we spoke to the authorities yesterday, the indication they gave us is that as of yesterday evening and this morning, they will be deploying a number of the task force here to make sure that the people do not come back. It is unclear whether that deployment was done, but from what we are seeing this morning, it looks like that hasn't been done, for which reason the people are gradually moving back to their place. And so you have come back to clear the people. This time you have seized all the boxes that they brought back. What is the permanent solution moving forward?
Thank you and good morning. Yeah, the same thing, this as part of the decongestion exercise. Wherever we move to, we follow up to see whether what we did yesterday, did they comply with. It's a bylaw enforcement. Bus stops are not meant for any activity. It's meant for only passengers to transit. And it's difficult getting these people out here. So as we enforced the laws yesterday, this morning we got a wind of that they are back again. So we had to come. We got here, we saw that they have resurfaced with different development with their items. So we had to come again, clean and tidy up the place. Our aim and agenda is to ensure that the bus stop is free. The shoulders of the road is free. The pavements are free. This is not the market that we do market. This place is not part of market. This is a bus stop erected by the assembly. Our concern is that the bus stop should be free.
How do you make it free permanently, considering that they came back?
Now I'm talking to you. Director has mandated through the National Security Coordinator, put 3 permanent security officers here. Permanent security officers here to ensure daily routine inspection and enforcement here. And we are going to ensure that this place is as clean as it is as of now. Nobody will sell here. That is the truth. This is a bus stop. You can bear with me.
We are also back on the footbridge here at Kumasi, where on Tuesday the task force has been here to clear this place of all traders. For those who use here, you would notice in the last few days, you would notice that this footbridge here has usually been occupied by both traders as well as armed beggars. But on Tuesday, the task force was here to clear them off. And today, Thursday, we're back here to check if they have indeed left the place permanently. And as you can see behind me, there are no traders nor hamburgers on this Kaneshie footbridge any longer. Sir, thanks for your time. How often do you use here, and what do you make of what we're seeing here today?
Now we are free. I'm always passing here, often, every day, except Sunday. But today, I see the freedom. Here is very free. Normally, when you are passing here, too much of congested. People are here selling. They make it like it's a market. So we can't pass. Here is very, very congested, but now it's okay for us. Yes.
And with what we are seeing is the best. We wish it will continue. It will not be like a political show or gimmick whereby after some time they will have to come back. So if they can bring the securities here day and night, it will help all of us. As you can see, look at it. Everybody is walking freely, which is a very good thing to all of us. They should all go to the market. That is where the market is made for them. They should go there and stop selling over here.
It's now left to the assembly to maintain this. From the Kaneshie footbridge here in Accra, I am James Abaji for Joy News.
Well, James is so here. So, James, what's the way forward as far as the assemblies are concerned?
That's the question I'm also asking, because if you go on the streets, what have been done so far looks beautiful, but I don't know. Elton, that's the answer. I mean, you...
Because I'm asking how long they're going to keep their men at Circle, at the Accra business area to ensure that the traders don't come back.
In the Circle area, most importantly, because for some people we've been speaking to, they think that deployment of 24-hour security guards would be the solution. But the question is, how well are we going to pay these people so that they are not compromised? One. Two, how are they going to do it so that we have the people there at every time? Some people talk about the fact that there should be CCTV cameras deployed at very vantage points, especially at these places, so that if you see the people there, you walk on them and confiscate their goods. But the question too is, throughout this program, they've put a human face to it.
Right.
They barely seize anybody's item. It's about public education. You need to get off the streets, take it out of here, send it there, and all of that. How toughened can the assembly be to do this? And so that question is a big puzzle. We are waiting on the assembly to see how they will solve it in order to bring a permanent solution to the problem across the city center.
All right, thank you very much, James, for that exciting report. Now, from Accra, let me take you to the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi, because residents living along the banks of the Pelele stream at Dichemso in Kumasi are on high alert after floodwaters crept into homes and business enclaves, putting lives and property at risk. The devastation from Saturday's downpour at a space landmark for the Kumasi Airport City project is a stark reminder of failed promises by successive governments to construct a large drain system. Now, residents in the area have taken matters into their own hands to desilt the gutters as the rainy season sets in. Emmanuel Radkweko visited the scene, and this is his report.
On Saturday, homes and shops built along the Pelele stream at Dichemso were inundated, denying residents and traders access to their facilities. Motorists plying the stretch had to battle the heavy water current and wade through the mud after roads were blocked by the floodwaters for several hours. Residents and shop attendants locked by the floodwaters had to seek higher ground to secure goods and protect their lives.
SCCC fridge no so say me tables na mabobono say me sa no many nyina guso.
I have parked my stuff on the fridge and on a higher table. We have nowhere else to go, so we have to endure. The water may have receded, but the heaps of filth the floods carried are not scenes to miss traveling along the stretch. Heavy tree branches, plastics and other solid waste have choked culverts underneath bridges on the major drainage system running through the enclave. Residents living along the waterways have adapted to the floods as they are compelled to erect tall fences to safeguard their homes. But for those who cannot afford them, they must endure the devastation the rains bring.
Wow, so no, when you been with black muna beda, and I say.
If the water doesn't recede, you have to seek shelter elsewhere. Sometimes when we can't leave, we are compelled to fetch out the water to have a place to sleep.
Do not mistake this as an oasis. This is actually a heap of sand that has gathered over weeks, months, or even years in this particular major drainage system here in the Dichemso enclave. Well, thankfully, they may have had a private individual desilting their gutters for them, but they are requesting that the government also does this regularly to ensure that they do not have their lives hung by the thread whenever the clouds begin to gather.
So bridge no omuntimi empeja bridge no sesia gutter ne de anye bia kasa ba na twem no e dey be for a friend drip machine.
If they can't elevate the bridge, they must utilize the drip machine to desilt the gutters. Serving as the gateway for international visitors to the Ashanti region, the soon-to-be airport city begs for major infrastructural improvements.
From here at Dichemso in the Ashanti region, my name is Emmanuel Bright-Kwiku.
Well, let's still stay in Kumasi because the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology Herbal Medicine Department seeks industry partnership to research impact of specific herbal medicine on human organs. The department is exploring industry partnership to go into this research and to bring some results into this particular area of human endeavor. And according to the head of department of the Herbal Medicine Department, Professor Isaac Kingsley Ampoma, though most of the locally manufactured herbal medicines have gone through standardization, the widespread notion could limit industry potential. Now, Ojima has more.
It is estimated that about 60% of Ghanaians use herbal medicine in treatment of diseases. Nonetheless, there is widespread condemnation on the use of herbal medicine, with some persons pointing to claims of organ damage. But head of Herbal Medicine Department at KNUST, Professor Isaac Kingsley Amponsa, has indicated though wrongful use of medication may have negative effect on the human organs, there is no evidence that the right use may cause organ damage.
Yeah, usually if we make a blanket statement that herbal product cause liver and kidney problems, I think we would have to substantiate it with the evidence. The truth of the matter is that there are herbal products that are being prescribed in the hospitals which are standardized and which have gone through a lot of tests to ensure that it is devoid of any component or activity that will affect any of the body organs. And these have been used for more than 30-40 years. And these standardized products are dispensed in the hospitals. And we've not had any issue with it. And so it is much regrettable when we hear such blanket statement.
The university has been conducting research into some herbal products, but establishing a negative impact on human organs will need further studies. Professor Amponsa explains industry will have to support the university for more specific research in the area.
All the research that is done in this faculty is mainly herbal. You can look at the thesis work on it, it's mainly based, plant medicine based. So we do it. Only that specifically, when some people want to know, for example, that this drug, whether it affects the kidney or affect the liver, it is an extensive research. And usually it has to be funded.
As part of partnership between industry and researchers to improve the herbal industry, Midimafo Herbal Hospital has supported the renovation of the Herbal Medicine Department at KNUST. Over 100,000 cedis was spent on the renovation works. Dr. Edu Jemfi is CEO of Midimafo Herbal Hospital. The idea that herbal medicine can cause kidney disease should not be encouraged. My research has shown it is not true, but there is need for further studies in the area.
Because me into public health research, yeah, me want certificates.
Well, let's talk about power and, of course, the stability of electricity in the country. And the Ministry of Energy has confirmed the arrival of 450,000 barrels of fuel to support power generation. This follows an earlier revelation by the sector minister that Ghana had less than 3 days' worth of liquid fuel left for the thermal plants. The fresh supply is expected to bring some relief and stabilize power across the country. Head of Communications at the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, Richmond Roxham, has been giving us details on Joy News.
As indicated by the minister last week, parcel of crude, as light crude oil, had been ordered already. We are happy to announce that it's in country and that it's available to power the thermal plants to ensure that Ghanaians continue to enjoy sustainable power at all material times.
You earlier, when the minister shared his concerns about how he's having sleepless nights on a power supply in this country, Car Power had given us some days that we're going to shut down. What does this mean, this barrel that you've taken delivery of? What does it mean in the entire scope of power delivery or power supply in the country now?
On the issue of Car Power, the ministry engaged Car Powership. So even though it's threatened to shut down the 18th, that did not happen. A roadmap was agreed between the two parties, that's government and Car Powership, and the parties have committed to ensuring that they would adhere to it. So that didn't happen. On the fuel side, like I mentioned, this will also go a long way to enhance power delivery within the period as Ghanaians have been enjoying.
So at least this would ensure some stability in power supply. Now, babies depend on their parents for survival, but as they grow, they learn to do things on their own and live independently. Sadly, that's not the case for 10-year-old Sebastina Ma Abena Ando. She's been out of school for the past 5 years as she battles cerebral palsy and scoliosis. Sebastina urgently needs 200,000 for the first surgery to treat her sclerosis so she can return to the classroom. Irama Ama visited her home and bring you this report.
She does sometimes complain of pain. So we realized the back was burning. It's getting scarier because it's growing faster than it used to be, and what we thought it was, now it's getting scarier. We feel very scared the way it's growing faster.
Once an energetic little girl who loved to run and sing, Abner's world has slowly narrowed. Her spine is now severely curved, a condition doctors say could one day affect her lungs, her movement, and even her life.
If you don't do anything about or you don't intervene at this point in time, the curve will just continue to become bigger. And when the curve becomes bigger, you know, most of the curve is in the thoracic region. It's very likely to affect her breathing because it's in the same region that you have the lungs. So if the curve occupies too much of where the lungs are supposed to be, it's going to affect her breathing. And again, if your curve is bending too much, you tend to put pressure on the spinal cord. The spinal cord is what helps you to move, to feel, to control urine and control toilet. If it's if it's compressed so significantly, yes, it can affect all these functions.
Abner cannot sit for long. Lying down hurts. Standing is a struggle. And when her seizures come, her mother stays by her side through sleepless nights.
With her care, you need attention. You need to pay extra attention with her care. There should always be an eye on her. That's even the main reason why she dropped out from the school, because there should be attention on her. I don't even sleep. I sleep in the morning. I sleep after 5 o'clock. Because she easily goes off sometimes.
Mesrɛ Ghanafoɔ, mesrɛ mo, me nsa da me nsa yɛ, mesrɛ mo. Mommla mɛboa yɛ, yɛntumi nhwɛ me ba no. Ne ɛnyɛ ne surgery ne ma no. Na ɛsi a baabi adu no, wɔda po a wɔntumi. Sisi a because of aberɛnti, me hairdresser, mentumi nyɛ adwuma, mewɔ fie.
Even in pain, Abna finds ways to smile. She loves football. She loves to learn. She dreams of going back to school and walking without help.
I've done what, as a man or as a father, to help my child. But for the past year or two, I've not been able even to pay for her medications, talk less of the surgery, to go through the surgery.
Her father sold his car and shut down his business, but they are still far from raising the 200,000 Ghana cedis needed for the surgery.
So we want to give her enough time for the trunk to really grow to its full potential before we do a final surgery for her. So what we will do is, we call it growing rod surgery or growing rod fusion. What we'll do is that we'll fix the proximal part of the deformity, and then we'll fix the inferior or the lower part of the deformity. And what is in between will stretch out the spine. And then periodically she will come for us to lengthen her, grow the spine until such time that we think that she's grown well enough or almost up to what the full potential of the spine will be. Then we can go on to do a final correction and do a final surgery for her.
Anybody with little help to support my child. Only seeing her walking normally again means so much to me. Seeing my child in her uniform going to school means so much.
Abna has the will. What she does not have is the means to pay for the corrective surgery.
And before we go, let me take you outside the shores of Ghana, and European leaders have agreed to increase pressure on Russia through further sanctions after Donald Trump briefed them on his call with Vladimir Putin. The German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said, meanwhile, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said Kiev and its partners were considering arranging a high-level meeting between Ukraine, Russia, the US, the EU countries, and Britain. The meeting could be hosted by Turkey, the Vatican, or Switzerland. For more, let me cross to Thomas Sparrow, correspondent with the DW, and let me ask, how confident are European leaders that these sanctions against Russia will have an effect?
Well, this is the 17th sanction package, 17 since the war in Ukraine began. So very clearly, from a European perspective, sanctions are having an effect on Russia, specifically on the Russian economy. And it is also clear, based on the fact that this is the 17th sanctions package, that this is, if you will, the preferred way in which European leaders are reacting politically when it comes to punishing, if you will, Russia. However, there is a debate here in Europe. It's not necessarily a new debate, but it is a debate that has intensified in recent days and in recent weeks about the specific impact of those sanctions. Because while some obviously understand that it is affecting the Russian economy when European leaders, and not only from the European Union, but also the UK, impose sanctions against Russia, there is also the belief, especially by those who see these critically, that they are not affecting how Vladimir Putin views the war. They are not helping to change Vladimir Putin's mind on what he wants or not to do in Ukraine. So basically, European leaders do believe that this is important to continue imposing sanctions to put pressure on Russia, but critics view this a little bit more cautiously and understand that maybe something else needs to be done if Europe wants to have a stronger deal, if Europe wants to have a stronger role to play in all these possible potential discussions to stop the war in Ukraine.
And then what are the main obstacles that have so far prevented a ceasefire agreement?
European leaders want that ceasefire agreement to happen before leaders sit at that table, whether it is in the Vatican, in Turkey, in Switzerland. They would like Russia and Ukraine to agree on that 30-day unconditional ceasefire before those negotiations start. That doesn't seem to be the position from the Kremlin and specifically from Vladimir Putin. If you ask why that might be the case, why Russia views this differently, part of the analysis that is being discussed here in Europe is that Russia might fear that a ceasefire would buy Ukraine time to rebuild, to rearm, to get more strength, to also work more closely with the European allies. So that may be a reason why Russia is against this idea of having a ceasefire before negotiations. That is really the question of when it comes to this ceasefire. Does it need to happen before negotiations, or do negotiations need to begin to then basically set the conditions for that specific ceasefire?
So how do European leaders view the discussion so far between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin?
They clearly understand, talking from a European perspective, that Donald Trump and more broadly the US government play and can play a very significant role when it comes to finding a solution to the war in Ukraine. So from that perspective, they do view it positively, although cautiously positive, the fact that the US president has, if you will, an open communication channel to the Russian president, where European leaders are a bit more skeptical and in some cases even openly critical, is the fact that the US president has sometimes sided with Russia's President Putin and not necessarily with Ukraine, which is something that you very often and very openly hear from the European perspective. So while they do favor the fact that the US president and the Russian president discuss possible outcomes and possible discussions on Ukraine, at the same time, they are very cautious, if you will, about the content of those discussions. And that's why they believe that European leaders should also have a very important role to play when it comes to peaceful negotiations in Ukraine.
All right. Thank you, Thomas Sparrow, with our partner GWTV in Berlin, Germany. Well, that will be our show for today. But there's more stories on MyJoyOnline.com. We have murder of Sugakope Assembly member Mason jailed for life. 2 others get 94 years in jail. Now, Gridco ECE assure Obuasi residents of power after substation fire. Finance Ministry approves revised allowances for university senior staff. Unions and, of course, govt Yebo Adame reported to the General Legal Council for alleged misconduct. And as always, the program, the pause, is brought to you by Defend Drill Cough Mixture. Get it today. Let it smooth your cough and whatever difficulty you are having. It will help you breathe easy.